destined to be here.
Hallelujah.
Welcome to Davey Dave's Take. Today we are talking about The Book of Clarence, the latest film starring LAKEITH STANFIELD. Struggling to find a better life, Clarence is captivated by the power of the rising Messiah and soon risks everything to carve a path to a divine existence. I know I say this a lot when I review a film. I know nothing about this film, so I have zero expectations. But this film, I truly knew nothing. I went on IMDb under the trivia section to learn a little bit more, and there's nothing there. So I didn't know anything. I saw the ginormous cast and who was directing and writing, and that's what got me excited. A film that I knew nothing about with a big cast, with some good filmmakers. So I was excited for this film. And the first thing I want to talk about is that ginormous cast. I think everyone does a fantastic job here. There's this sense of energy that's just a lot of fun. And LAKEITH STANFIELD is one of my favorite actors working, and he absolutely crushes it here. He does that in every film. He never phones anything in. Here, he gives a wonderful performance. This performance needs a lot of comedic timing, and there's a lot of emotional parts of this performance and a lot of character development, and I think LAKEITH STANFIELD just crushed it. And it's not just him, it's everyone. Even Benedict Cumberbatch, even though he's not even in the film that much. But I gotta say, what he does is probably my favorite bit in the whole entire film. It was hilarious. I also really like the style of this film. I really appreciate films where you can tell the director has his or her fingerprints all over it. And with the Book of Clarence, you can tell that that's there because there's this different style to it that makes the film feel really unique. And part of that style has to do with the music in this film because it's great. This is a fantastic soundtrack that really nails the mood of this film. And it's not just the score, it's the overall soundtrack. All the music in this film works so well and it really elevates the whole entire experience. From a story standpoint, I really liked what the film was trying to do with our main character, where he starts out and by the end of the film where he's at, the growth, the development. I think for the most part, it works. But it goes into some of my issues with the film overall. And that's to do with the overall story and some of the actions that the characters do. This film is a biblical epic, and you can tell the director is really influenced by films like Ben-Hur. And I think the overall scope and scale and production of this film does really work. But story-wise, there are a lot of things that I feel like I really need to process. When I make my reviews, I like to give my initial reaction. I like to review the film pretty much right after I see it. And then maybe a week from now, maybe 6 months from now, maybe a year from now, I think about the film differently. This is definitely a film that's going to take some time to process for everyone, myself included, because I don't consider myself a religious person. I've been to Sunday school, I've read stories in the Bible and all of that, but there are a lot of biblical themes in here that I understood, but there are a lot of themes that probably went completely over my head. But that goes into my biggest issue with the film, and it has to do with its story and its tone. There are times where this film is very funny, but then there are times where it's extremely serious, and I think the film has serious problems trying to balance those two tones. And because this is a biblical epic, there are a lot of serious themes in here, and the film sometimes bites off more than it can chew. And as I said before, I like what the film does with our main character, his development throughout the film, but there are times where it is a little all over the place with his actions and how he feels about certain things. Like there are parts where it seems like there is one action that he does that happens pretty early on where I felt like it should have happened a little bit later. It feels like there are some things that are a little out of place. And this film is way too long. It takes a while for our character to actually get into the main plot of this film. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for character development, but it feels like there's a lot of things that could have been shaven off from that first act. And also, as I said before, there are definitely things that probably went completely over my head with some of the messaging and the meaning of this film. But there are times where I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know what this film is trying to say. And like I said, it might take some time to process. This is definitely a film that's going to take a while for people to really understand and really process. But then again, maybe I just won't understand it. But sometimes that's okay. But in the end, the Book of Clarence was a solid time, with a solid cast giving great performances, and a film that has a unique style to it that I really appreciated. It's a little too long, and tonally it's all over the place, and it feels like the film sometimes bites off more than it can chew, but honestly, it has enough interesting ideas that I'll be thinking about this film for a while. I'll give the Book of Clarence 6.5 Davey Daves. Yeah, I tried to do a little bit of research before I saw this film, and when I say research, that means I just went on IMDb and looked at the trivia, and there was nothing there. So hopefully, when this film does come out, there'll be more information out that I can do some research, and maybe I'll understand the film a little bit more. So, the Book of Clarence. Let me know what you guys saw of it once you've seen it. I'm curious to hear, and thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Dave's Takes.